Okay, good.
The CDC, Gordon, said, by the way, I'm working with lots and lots and lots of churches. I've got a church that began a big movement in Tampa. It's called the River Church. Dr. Rodney Brown is the pastor there. He's the pastor that the government came and took off the podium in handcuffs during a church service for having church. They put 16 of these technologies in their church, and they've been open ever since. The sheriff came out and said, "Hey, I looked at the science, I looked at the technology, we're leaving you alone. It looks like everybody's pretty safe in this facility." The CDC says, J.K. Baker and Jeff Smith, that the single most ineffective way to solve the problem is gloves and mask and sanitizer. PPE. That's a solution, but it's not the best solution. Change the way people work. Don't let them go to work. Make them work from home. Isolate people. Don't let them in their churches or schools. Tell them they can't go there. But the number one best way to solve the problem, according to the CDC, is remove the physical hazard. In this case, we're talking, Gordon, about specifically SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19. But it doesn't matter. It could be mold and mycotoxins. It could be other contamination. Whatever it is, the best way to solve it is to remove it. We went to NASA, the space organization. I was fortunate about 10 years ago, met with those guys, actually about 15 years now, and learned about this amazing technology that they developed for the International Space Station. I brought the technology and the documents back to my scientists, and they went to work on it. They fine-tuned it. They improved it. We took the disinfection rate of surfaces and air to 1 hour and 3 minutes. It used to be 72 hours to disinfect a room. Now we're down to 1 hour on surfaces and 3 minutes suspended in the air. This technology has been so effective, it's been called by the Huffington Post one of the top 7 inventions in space for use here on Earth, and landed us, Gordon and Jeff, directly into the Space Technology Hall of Fame. Other companies in the Technology Space Hall of Fame are LASIK surgery, GPS, satellite TV. Our technology has been rated as one of the top 7 because we bring actual relief to indoor environments, sanitizing indoor environments. This is the star of the show. This is a technology that has 2 main strategies inside it. The first strategy is a proprietary form of ions that we developed about 25 years ago. It does exactly what the sun does outdoors. Outdoors, when energy enters the atmosphere, it causes particles to get charged and get bigger, and they drop out of the air. That's why, Jeff Smith, if you wash a nice, beautiful, shiny black car, in about 5 minutes, it got speckles all over it, because outdoors, particles are constantly settling down out of the air. But when we go indoors, we don't have that energy from the atmosphere. And so particles float in the air, positively charged all day long until our kids, our students, our parishioners suck them into their lungs. If they happen to have COVID on them or mycotoxins from mold, it can make people sick. So our technology first removes the particles from the air. The University of Cincinnati, Gordon, did a study for us. This is a peer-reviewed published study. That means that any group of scientists in the world can reproduce that study and get the same results. The University of Cincinnati said when you turn this device on, the particles drop out of the air in the church, in the school, in the business, in the home, 200 times faster than if you didn't have it turned on. So we make the particles a little bit bigger, we drop them out of the air. Then ActivePure is created inside this patented honeycomb matrix. What it's making is the same thing that nature makes outdoors. Microscopic mist of hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide that you can't see, you can't smell, you don't know it's there. It's microscopic. But imagine hydrogen peroxide touching bacteria. or touching a virus or touching mold. It destroys it immediately. But ActivePure is more than that. It's also hydroxyls, OH1, and superoxides. Guess what you find, Gordon and Jeff, when you go on a mountaintop with fresh, clean air? What you find near a waterfall? You find hydrogen peroxide, hydroxyls, and superoxides. We recreate what nature does outdoors to disinfect indoors. Now, here's our strategy, Gordon and Jeff. We prevent infection by real-time disinfection. Okay? We do real-time 24/7 disinfection of the particles in the air and down into the porous materials and surfaces, the floor, the school desk, the back of the pew, the offering plate, you name it, the door handle. We disinfect, and that causes people to prevent getting infections or the spread. We bring the technology, the technology brings, in this case, we're talking about the SARS-CoV virus. We bring it to, listen to this, gentlemen, not detectable in 3 minutes. You turn this technology on, and in the air, the airborne SARS-CoV-2 virus becomes undetectable, too small to detect anymore, 99.96% destruction in 3 minutes. We didn't say that, Gordon. The University of Texas Medical Branch, which tests for the U.S. military and the CDC, tested this technology and said 3 minutes and it's no longer detectable. Here's what they said to us, JK. They said, we think it's more on contact, but we weren't able to actually do the testing that fast. So we tested at the 3 minute level, and it was at the point of no longer detectable, which means, Gordon, no longer transmittable. But it goes further than that. We went to MRI Global, an independent FDA compliant laboratory. These are the highest levels of studies you can get done. We found that we get 4 log kill on surfaces. So in your case, in a church, the pews in just hours are totally sanitized and disinfected. The air is disinfected in 3 minutes. Now, why is this a big deal? Companies try old-fashioned strategies. They try old-fashioned strategies to try to solve this new problem. I always say it requires a paradigm shift. Here's what the problem is that they have. They put in, for example, a HEPA filter into their duct system, or they put in freestanding HEPA filters. Here's the problem with that. HEPA filters, number one, we know that the viruses are so small that lots of them go right through the HEPA filter. If they didn't, Gordon, the HEPA filter would fill up in just hours. It would be stuffed full if they were as good as they say they are. But the reality is that coming out of the HEPA filter, you still have the SARS-CoV virus. It does not collect enough to make a big difference. So here's what they say. Well, let's change the air 3 to 5 times an hour. That's like taking a glass of water with arsenic in it and saying, let's add another half a glass of water, some new air into the room, and we will dilute it. Diluting the poison does not work. By the way, Gordon and Jeff, if it did work, why do we have all the controversy about indoor environments and the spreading of this disease? The fact is it doesn't work in any situation with HEPA filters. Number two, they put in UV lights into the HVAC system. Here's the problem with that. A UV light requires that the particle is 2 inches away for about 3 seconds to inactivate it. So they walk around the room with wands of UV on a desktop, for example. Well, that's great for right then. But what happens 2 hours from now? It's right back where it started. And so when the particles are going down the plenum in an HVAC system, they're going at 100 miles an hour, Jeff. It's like the mailman going 100 miles an hour down the street. He's going to get a mailbox now and then, but not many. When these particles are flying down a plenum with a UV light sticking in there, It can't get to them for 2 seconds a few inches away. So the bottom line is those strategies, the air coming out of the HVAC is identical to the air going in. And so we spend all this money on these solutions that don't work. Our technology is exactly opposite, Gordon and Jeff. Our technology doesn't filter anything inside this machine. We create the purifying plasma, just like the sun does outdoors, and we send it into the environment at 1,200 feet a second. You know what else travels, Gordon, at 1,200 feet a second? Popcorn smell. Imagine popcorn smell in your church. You cook it in the cafeteria, in the microwave. How fast do you smell it down the hall? Instantly. We move with the law of gases, the ActivePure throughout the home, throughout the church, throughout the environment, cleansing and cleaning the environment. So surfaces and air technology is the best solution in the world today. And that's why yesterday, the Philadelphia school systems ordered 2,500 units. They've already had 500 units. That's why the Palm View School District, where I am right now in Texas, ordered 160 units for their schools and is ordering 72 more today at the board meeting. This technology is easy to prove. You can use an ATP meter, which you use in hospitals to determine sanitary surfaces. Now, this is interesting. You can use an ATP meter in a room, a church, or a school with HEPA filters and with UV lights. You'll get no change. You'll get no change on surfaces because the filter in the HVAC system can't go and clean the contamination on a school desk or a pew or an offering plate. Our technology does. This is a Petri dish from my dad's bedroom, Gordon. My dad suffered from asthma for 68 years. He used an inhaler. He was having all kinds of reactions. So we went into his house and we tested it with simple Petri dishes. This is the dish from his bedroom. Mold, bacteria, and viruses. We brought in ActivePure and sanitized his bedroom, and in literally 8 hours, we redid the test and the dish is clean. We can do that every time, every situation, every place. Anywhere air can get, our technology disinfects, which prevents infection spread. So the technology is powerful. It works. I can show you study after study, and the competitors can't show you studies like this. They can only show you studies that say if a particle went through and got to this UV light, it would disinfect it. They don't talk about the 99% of the stuff in the room that never gets to that UV light or never gets to that HEPA filter. But this is RNA viruses, Gordon and Jeff. RNA viruses are what? Coronaviruses. When you turn this technology on in 60 minutes, the coronavirus family is reduced by 99.49s. That's called 6-log kill. DNA viruses, 4-log kill. In order to claim that you can kill a virus, you have to get 4-log kill. I have a competitor company, a guy that used to work for me. He knocked off my technology and started a little company. He had all over his website that he could do all this stuff with all these viruses. Guess what? FTC, FDA came in, made him clean the website, said you have no proof. They've never done that with our technology. We have irrefutable proof. My CEO was on CNBC TV recently and made this statement. The FDA was listening. We've gone right to the FDA and shown them what this technology does and have clearance to make these claims. 99.9% of MRSA, airborne particles, that's the University of Cincinnati test. It takes the particles out of your church in the air that could carry viruses or mold. It takes 90% out of the air in 30 minutes. Here's something else that you'll find kind of interesting, Gordon and Jeff. If you just take and say, okay, instead of a television remote, this is a television remote in a hotel room. 920 colonies of fungi growing on that one remote control. Turn our technology on. 24 hours later, the remote control has 0 contaminants on the remote control. We didn't spray it with spray. We don't have any Lysol. We didn't boil it. This is just ActivePure in the room. So we've got a technology that can make homes safer and healthier. It can impact kids in school. 80% reduction of absenteeism and dismissals in Indiana and Pennsylvania schools with ActivePure installed. Staph infections, 100% effectiveness in removing staph infections in the school with this technology. The schools are jumping on board. Here's an example of some of the schools. This represents maybe 10% of the schools that have installed this technology. The list goes on and on and on and on. We just got notice, JK, you're going to love this, that the Philadelphia school systems are now opening up because of ActivePure, and there's going to be a big national press release on that. Wow. We've got this going, gentlemen. We've got a powerful solution. It's a solution that works and makes a difference. Major League Baseball, football, hockey, basketball have caught on. If you have this technology in the locker room, it's safer for the athletes. The medical world is saying, whoa, 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 don't leave us out. We need this in the medical facilities. We now have, listen to this, this is maybe the crowning jewel. The Cleveland Institute, the #2 heart and operating hospital, arguably in the world today, next to Mayo. They have installed 100 of these ActivePure technologies into their operating rooms. 50 operating rooms have 100 units installed. 43,000 surgeons and patients are going to do operations of at least 1 hour that the patient's body is open. 43,000 operations with ActivePure, 43,000 operations with a placebo ActivePure. We are going to prove that we can stop nosocomial infections in their tracks. And I just want to make a statement, Gordon and Jeff, because I get asked often, well, how can you prove it works? How can you know that it's safe? Is this good for people? Do you believe that the Cleveland Institute would install this technology with their surgeons and patients having their bodies opened up with operations into the surgical facilities if they haven't vetted this? If they didn't say, this is something that's big, big, big. So we've got great, great technology. And the final slide that I will show you before we answer some questions, hopefully here, is how it works. Units with ActivePure technology pull free oxygen and water molecules in the air through ActivePure's patented honeycomb matrix. The technology creates powerful oxidizers where they are then released back into the room, where they seek and destroy DNA and RNA viruses, including SARS-CoV-2 that causes COVID-19. We kill the swine flu, H1N1, avian bird flu, hepatitis A. This is the toughest virus to kill, period. We kill them all. So we're very proud. We're very excited. We're very encouraged. We think we have a solution, gentlemen, to a worldwide problem, and we'd love to work with your church. I hope I answered the questions about why this is different than putting something into an HVAC unit, why it's different than fogging or spraying, why it's different than putting UV lights into an HVAC system. This is an active technology that moves throughout your churches, cleansing and disinfecting everything it touches. It's just like bringing lots and lots of natural chemistry from outdoors, indoors, to kill this virus and anything else that might be a problem. What do you think, Gordon and Jeff? What kind of questions you guys might have?
I just took a sip from a fire hose. Good presentation.
I do have a fire hose I carry around. Sorry.
Just a couple quick things, and we can get into some of the technical details. JK probably has some information, but the one thought would be is the size of the unit, the number of units based on cubic footage of the church? Is it based on how much? One of the things that was on that CDC chart was we're doing a lot of fresh air circulation, which was indicated was a way of improving it. But I hear you saying that's the dilution theory. We're diluting maybe better than we were. But how do you determine the units that go in? Are there different sizes for different classrooms, et cetera? Or is that information that JK can provide us?
No, I'll be happy to provide it. You're a quick study, Gordon. I can tell you've done your research and that you have some knowledge about what we're talking about here. One unit covers 3,000 square feet. The church in Tampa put in 16 units because they have a pretty big church. They have them in the main auditorium, they have them in the offices, and they have them in some of the rooms. They have a college there with 500 kids, so they're now putting them into the college also. What a lot of schools and churches do is they have them in the rooms, like the schoolrooms, for example, or offices. And then if they have a big event, like let's say we're going to have Wednesday night church services or Sunday church services, they'll bring 4 or 6 machines into the main facility, let them run for several hours on full blast, and sanitize the auditorium. We put stickers up and signs and little placards that say, this facility is being sanitized 24/7. Air and surfaces with ActivePure, like seen on PBS and NASA. So it just depends on the size of the areas. Go back to the popcorn theory. Anywhere that air movement goes. So if you've got it in an office and you have an adjoining office, it's going to move right into that room. If you have an office that has a cold air return, it's going to suck it into the cold air return and help move it throughout the entire building. You don't want to be undersized. You want to be right-sized or oversized. And so you don't want to try to treat 5,000 square feet with one machine. That would be undersized. You might want to use 2 machines on 5,000 square feet. That would be oversized. But we just want to make sure we get enough ActivePure into the environment. My suggestion for churches like you is the standard Air and Surface Pro technology, which has a backup double ActivePure cell in it. It's no extra cost, but it gives you 2 ActivePure cells instead of 1, and it'll give you plenty of coverage in your facilities. How big is the physical footprint of the church?
About 110,000 square feet on this side of the street, and then our upper school is probably in the just under 30,000 square foot size.
Yeah, so you'd need more than 1 or 2 machines in there, but the bottom line is that we often see companies, churches, schools buying technology. Like in Chicago, they bought $40 million worth of HEPA filters, only to find out that they were going to have to spend $40,000 a quarter on replacement filters. And the technology did nothing to reduce the COVID. And so what we have found, by the way, and this is a little side note, is that we've got these now installed in some assisted living facilities and stuff. And where one patient used to get COVID and everybody did, they're now saying it's completely isolated. They get no other people when you have this technology running because it kills it. Remember the statement I made, prevention of infection through real-time disinfection. We're real-time disinfecting the air and surfaces. So 3,000 square feet. Sorry for the long answer, Gordon.
That's all right. Okay. The honeycomb, one of the things is you don't have to service it, but does that break down after a certain number of years? Is it a 5-year, 10-year lifespan?
2 years you have to replace the ActivePure cell, and it costs under $100 every 2 years to keep the machine running like brand new. The cell is actually warranted for a year, but I've always seen it last a couple years. And so the machine is a smart technology. It will tell you that it's time to change the ActivePure cell. It's 2 thumb screws. Anybody can do it. There's no filters that change, Jeff, but there is a back screen that keeps the inside of the machine clean. Once a month, the screen will let you know it's time to clean off that back screen. You take it off. It takes just a couple seconds. You wash it out real good, shake it off, put it back in, and you're ready for another month.
That's picking up the big chunk things like an air filter.
Dust. We don't want that ActivePure to get all filled with dust and nasty stuff in there, so we keep the inside of the machine clean. Yes, sir.
Again, I realize it's maybe based on quantity purchase. What's the base cost per unit then of the machine?
So we did a national study, and the average consumer said that $24.95 for a 3,000 square foot machine would be a fair price. We priced it at $14.99. If you get multiple units, more than 4, we start providing discounts. Mr. Baker can provide that. But like for example, in the big Philadelphia school system, they didn't pay $14.99. We gave them a really good bulk break. We know you're not going to need 2,500 machines, but even if you get 10 machines or 15 machines or 5, we provide bulk incentives. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think in general that probably answers most of our questions. JK can give us more. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you walking through that with us. And you can send this to JK, and I don't consider it something he can't share with other clients. If you give him permission to do that, I'm fine with that too.